bust out of any fear that you have.
That's the word. I was about to say it's fear.
Yeah. The fear that you have that your passion can't sustain you. You know what I mean? Because because the side hustles, whether it be a passion to get out of that office cubicle you're in, a passion because you really, as you said, you love to read. That's your passion. You love the concept of real estate. That was a passion. And at some point, the fear of I can make these things into my primary income, you busted out of that. Between May 2020 and December 2021, I have secured $8,121,009.35 in legitimate funding for Black and minority-owned businesses. My name is Taliba Bales, and I'm the host of the Black and Bankable podcast. Effective immediately, I am coming for more for the community. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black and Bankable podcast. And we are right at the second Black and Bankable CEO conversation. And I am, you're gonna hear me say this literally for everybody I bring on the show, especially folks that I personally know. And this episode, I am so excited to introduce to the world and to have what I know will be an amazing conversation with Janelle Brown. You can see here, we put serial entrepreneur because we just wanted to make sure everything fit on that little black tile there. But Janelle and her husband and her father have multiple businesses. And as I introduce Janelle to you, you will soon see the gems that Janelle is ready to drop and give to you to help you along with your business. So for those who have just sort of clicked on the channel and subscribed and all of that fun stuff, we are doing a CEO Conversations series. And I was moved to do this because I want to make sure of a number of things. The first thing is I want to have real business owners. Let me let y'all let that marinate. I want to have real business owners on the show. We have real unscripted conversations about what it is to be Black and Bankable, right? Like we're here on the Black and Bankable show. Like we got to talk about, hey, what is bankable for you? Because bankable is different for business owners. We're at different levels. And so we're going to talk about that. We're also serving the purpose of dropping gems so that wherever it resonates with you and your business, if that helps you move along in your business journey and accomplish a financial goal, then hey, I can stop right now. But that is some of the goals as to why I'm doing this. And I'm so glad that you have tuned in. And I'm so happy and pumped to introduce Janelle Brown. We've worked on a couple of things together. I've helped her business on a couple of different things, but we are going to hop right into this CEO conversation. And yeah, let's go.
Keeping your books in order alone is hard enough, never mind running a business. If you are currently doing your own bookkeeping, you know working with numbers doesn't necessarily mean that you understand them. Not being able to see the big picture on top of having to do everything yourself can feel like you're running in place. Don't let your business fail because you can't keep track of your financials or don't have the time. The Bankable CEO Bookkeeping DIY membership gives you the tools you need to get real solutions and real visibility into your finances with guidance from QuickBooks certified professionals. Sign up now. Text DIY to 855-912-1020. That's DIY to 855-912-1020.
So, Janelle.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we've talked about so many different things. We've worked on so many projects. What I would love for us to start off with, because I believe you have some awesome gems when it comes to generational wealth.
Right.
I'm really close with my dad, right?
Mhm.
And so, like I said, one of the things that I remain so impressed by you on is the fact that in your real estate business, your dad is a part of that real estate business. You guys own property together.
Mhm.
So I would love for you to share with the audience your thoughts on like generational wealth and just sort of
Mhm.
how you guys came into working together and what that means for you.
Okay. I don't know. It's a long story, but how I got into business with my dad with the real estate is that at first I started flipping houses, and so my dad is kind of a jack of all trades. He's always worked a 9 to 5, and he always had two other what we say side hustles as
Yeah.
well. So
Hmm.
he knows how to do a lot. So he was like my main renovator.
Okay.
But it got to a point where there's an opportunity where our owner was selling off their lot of properties. And where we get into that generational wealth is where because my daddy was in a position to purchase those, and then
Hmm.
I was in a position to rehab them. So
Mm.
we kind of partnered because he purchased and I rehab. So that's kind
Okay.
of how it came together. But that generational wealth goes back to that generation prior to you needs to have their stuff together.
Hmm.
So like now I need to have my stuff together to help my children if
Hmm.
it's a amazing opportunity comes along. So generational wealth is very, very important that we kind of take for granted. But yeah, so that's how we.
That's you know what, as I told you we was gonna get into some gems because the point that you said, and I'm just, again, when it comes to generation, like what is generational wealth? How do you establish? I think you have really brought up a point that
Mhm,
affects Blacks and minority folks perhaps a little bit more than our counterparts, and that
mhm.
is to establish generational wealth. The first generation, right, or somebody
Right,
has
somebody.
to make sure that they've gotten their stuff in order
Yes.
to set that generational path and that legacy down the line for those who come after you. That's amazing. That's
Mhm.
definitely something I want to make sure that my audience picked up on that. What are your thoughts about like well, what if your dad didn't, right? Like what if your dad didn't have his stuff together? And let's focus on you and your husband,
Mhm.
right? Like, what are some tools and some tips that you can give a business owner who may need to, reset, get themselves together to establish generational wealth for their legacies?
Well, I would say a lot of times when we think about wealth, we think about cash, and
Mm-hmm.
that's only a part of it. I think that major thing is credit. So we need to have our credit together.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're credit together, it can kind of get you access to cash that you might not necessarily have earned. So I think that would be the tip or the tool is to have your personal
Mm-hmm.
life credit together.
And because it's unavoidable, like
Mhm,
everybody says that, like, oh girl, you need to have your credit together, and
mhm,
these are things that we know,
mhm,
right? But so in what I want to make sure that we capture
mhm,
is, and what we point out is, we know that credit goes up and credit goes down.
mhm,
I mean, real life, you could have gone through, you know a divorce, or lost
mhm,
your job, or just anything that happened, the
mhm,
pandemic,
mhm,
in which your credit score may take a hit, but what I want to make sure that we point out is, well, so what if it's not perfect? Identify a trusted source,
mhm,
that can help you reestablish that. And just identify that timeline, because it is going to take a little time, but
mhm,
identify that timeline and working your goals, your business related goals based upon your credit journey. But it incentivizes so many different things. As we know, when you have your personal credit together, as Janelle and her husband and her dad was successfully able to accomplish, as you can see, she is a serial entrepreneur. They have a real estate investment business, and now they also have a bookstore. And
mhm.
let me tell you, I told Janelle, like, I am so impressed with the Black woman owning a bookstore. I mean, you just, a Black owned bookstore, right? Like, how
Mhm.
did you arrive at saying, this is what I want to do? Like, in this digital age, right?
Mhm.
I want to get like how did you land on the bookstore, and what are some things that you want the world to know about like just that project for you?
So how I landed with the bookstore is I love to read. So I love to read. And so I would go to Books a Million and they would have that one section for African Americans. Okay. And then about, I would say this is 2022, these, since COVID,
Right.
we don't know what year we're in. So I'll say 5 years ago, they took it away. Right. So they said they were dispersed throughout the store, but I looked, I couldn't find them.
Okay.
So, and so it came about from the lack of books that looked like me and
Okay.
having access to the to the books that look like me and that I related to. So that's kind
Okay.
of how it got started. And then it was just something to encourage reading in our children because we were getting to a point where everything was just, game, online. Nobody wanted to read. And
Hmm.
reading kind of takes your mind to different places to
It does.
where if you've never been there, you still can experience it through a book.
Exactly.
And so
Hmm.
when our kids were getting to school, they couldn't relate because their mind hadn't been
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
these places. They hadn't read it, they didn't understand it. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how the bookstore got started.
Okay. Wow. Man. Mm-mm-mm. So that's still even more legacy building. It's you're pouring into your generational wealth, your individual family wealth, and then you said, "Hey, so you took action on something that is a real issue."
Hmm.
And that is not only, just seeing stuff on TV that looks like us, but books, in a digital world. And I also just and establishing something for your kids. You have daughters, sons.
I have one daughter, one son.
Okay. To say, you know what? Now we have books. I
Right.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yes.
that. And so the credit piece, you said you wanted to add something to that.
Yes. So when I say get your credit together, like I've been through all of the above.
Okay.
So from where my credit score took a hit when I was down to 500, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I say all that to say life happens, but at that point you start making a plan. Because
Hmm.
when my husband and I first got married, my credit was fine then, and his was just, it was awful. So
Yeah.
what we did was every time we had income tax, it took about 2 years, and when we had extra money, we paid off something on his credit. So that's why
Okay.
I say you got to have a plan.
Mhm.
Anytime you have extra money, income tax time, we love vacations. We do. We always need a break,
Yeah.
but you plan that out, for
Mhm.
your future. So if it means taking that money and paying off something, and I do believe in, which I know we're in like a dispute happy society, but I do believe in paying off and settling debt that you owe because then it kind of releases that blessing in your life. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying?
I
Because
do.
somebody entrusted you to give you money or an
Mhm.
item for you
Mhm.
to pay it back. And like I
Mhm.
said, life happens. But when
Mhm.
you're able to settle or to pay that back.
Yeah.
Because then you never know what opportunity comes just from you being a good steward
Okay.
over that item.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my credit piece. Like I'm always tell people, like they'll say, "How do I fix my credit?" And I always say, "Pay them people." And that's part of my real estate thing. Pay them people. That's just part of it because it opens so many doors once you get, and if you can, once
Mhm.
you get that burden per se off of you. But yeah.
That's a very interesting outlook on it. I want to dive deeper into that, and let's talk about like the resources. We know that
Mhm.
one of the major challenges for Black folks, Black businesses is identifying resources, lack of resources. Do you feel that that was your experience in the sense of, well, where, like, how do I identify the resource? How do I develop this plan? Right? Talk to me about that piece, how you identify with finding resources and identifying resources.
I think it was easier for me as far as resources because I worked at a credit union.
Okay.
And so I was a loan officer, so I saw credit, so
Hmm.
I could kind of relate to people that came in and I could have empathy because I had been there where they are. So I
Hmm.
kind of had that background of financial education,
Hmm.
already.
Hmm.
But everybody doesn't have that. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where we come in. Entrepreneurs that have started and have gotten established is just to be a resource to somebody.
Right.
And we're all in this to make some money. That's true.
Mhm.
But if we could dedicate a portion of our time to give some free information, just to know how to get started. Everybody want to charge you for every little thing, but give
Okay.
something away to give somebody to get them started.
Reach
And then,
back.
yeah,
That's what I hear you saying, reach back.
right. Because if you give them some value, they're gonna spend with you.
Absolutely.
Because they know, hey, she gave me this for free to help me propel.
Mhm.
What am I gonna get for the stuff that she's charging
Mhm.
for? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, we have to be a resource to each other, and a trusted resource. I mean, a resource to where we've experienced it, not just
Mm.
we saw it. We experienced. We can relate to
Mhm.
whatever they need.
Right. So in essence, the person that you're going to for these resources, like obviously in your position, you have, and I want to definitely um get your feedback in your former professional hat as a loan officer for a credit union. But when it comes to a trusted resource, what I want to say is, again, someone who has done it. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And not always who makes it looks good.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
in the current time that we're in, where it's really about your marketing dollars, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, or your marketing ability. And so business owners have told me that there's so much information out there, or you get distracted because you have, this person's social media channel that's showing them hopping out of a Bentley, and different things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is to make sure that you don't get lost in that
Yes.
your trusted resource is where you can verify that whatever it is that professional is saying that they can help you with, as we say, like, where are the receipts? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, how have
Yes.
you lived it? Because when the scenario, especially when it comes to money, you need to have several scenarios in your toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone's not a right size fits all type of thing.
That's
So,
right.
so in your former position as a loan officer at a
Mm-hmm.
credit union, I'm sure you probably saw,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that. Can you talk to the audience about, let's make what those challenges are that you've seen,
Mm-hmm.
and again, like, how you were able to work through that as a loan officer with
Mm-hmm.
that particular business or individual?
I guess in those situations, I would say don't get caught up with the glitz and glamour.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's one of those things where if you couldn't handle something small, don't try to get that big yet.
Mhm.
Handle that small.
Mhm.
Let's handle what you have now. Like, for instance, people may want to purchase, let's just say, a $30,000 car.
Okay.
And so before I would do that, I would say, well, hey, your debt ratio is high. Maybe we
Okay.
should consolidate some stuff first, get you into a more affordable purchase, and then let's get to the car. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? It's almost like we have to prioritize and
Mhm.
have things together. Not necessarily, we need to have it affordable, okay?
Okay. Mhm.
And not just because it looks good.
Okay.
Like I said, it goes back to that plan. You
Mhm.
got to have a plan. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's good to have somebody that's not in the situation looking outside and say, hey,
Mm.
hold on, let's
Mhm.
back it up. Let's get you a plan together. So, like how you did with me, let's get you a plan together in
Mhm.
order for you to get X, Y, Z. So, let's just work on paying what you have
Mhm.
before you add something even bigger that you can't handle when you're not handling what you have now. I don't know if that's making sense.
It absolutely does. And the reason why I wanted to pull that out of you is because a lot of times we don't know where to start,
Mm-hmm.
because there is that information overload, or because it's easy to get distracted with those folks who appear to be very uber successful, and so at that point they're not really talking about how they got there as far as a plan goes. And I think it hits to what you also said with the financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
and going back to the generational wealth with, where your father was and being able to purchase the property. It is having somebody to talk to you about those things.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck is a plan? And
Right.
and actually being like realistic. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Realistic based upon the person.
Right.
And so I'm sure you saw this, in your capacity with the credit union, but then just also with in your own life experiences. I just want to make sure that the audience knows, like, if you're lost, there are so many trusted resources out there that you can sit down with those individuals, particularly, of course, SBA has SCORE, you have your Alabama SBDC offices, you have nonprofits like mine. No, just no, but seriously, you have resources out there, and I want you to be vulnerable enough to say, I have no clue.
Mhm.
Because we really have unique challenges as Black folks. Like you
Yes.
said, it could be that your parents didn't have it together.
Mhm.
The circle around you
Mhm.
doesn't have it together.
Mhm.
So you're in an environment where you're truly, all you have is maybe social media.
Right.
But
Right.
there are absolutely, like, be vulnerable enough to say, I need you to tell me what this plan is.
Yeah.
What this
Yeah.
plan is. Let's set something that's based upon my actual experience. You know what I'm saying? My credit scores are 500, whatever your
Mhm.
experience is,
Right.
identify what that experience is so you can have a custom to fit plan that's actually going to yield you the results that you need to accomplish those different goals. We
It's
talk
almost like you
about,
have to invest in yourself.
okay,
You know what
okay,
I'm saying? Like you're
yeah,
gonna have to be willing to research and even take classes.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
got to be able to invest in yourself in everything, not just rely on what you can see on the surface. Sometimes you got to dig,
mm-hmm, yes,
and that's learning in that digging.
absolutely. So let's pop back out and let's talk about how you arrived at being a serial entrepreneur now. So we've already identified you worked for a bank, and so now you have two businesses at
Mhm.
least. So I want to talk about the context of how you arrived at becoming a business owner, and then just talking about, like, the value of, and you've already kind of touched on it, but the value of that Black business owners contribute to the community.
The way I became a serial entrepreneur is when I left the credit union. I went to private to to corporate America per se.
Okay.
As a treasury analyst.
Okay.
And once you get in corporate, it is cutthroat. Like it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
And I just remember being at my desk and thinking, this can't be all to life. You know what I'm saying? It can't be. And there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5s. I
Right.
applaud them because they help fund your dream.
Exactly.
But I think you get to a point where you're like, this, it's got to be more,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, and that's why I got to that point where it's got to be more than to me than just working, getting home. I can't mentally spend time with my kids because my brain is still coming down from the work day. And I was like, that's just not how I wanted to live. To
Yeah.
retire when I turn 65 and
Yeah.
finally get a break from life.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I started YouTubing. I started planning.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all of a sudden thing. I started planning out. Okay, I love real estate, so I'm looking at real estate. Oh, the first thing I did was started listening to podcasts. Listened to ET podcasts. I listened to some of Dave Ramsey. I listened to Sleepers for Suckers. I mean, I was constantly listening and learning, formulating my exit plan, so to say,
Hmm.
so to
Hmm.
speak. And so the very first thing I did was get my real estate license,
Hmm.
So that's the first thing I did. And then while I was also working my 9 to 5, I went ahead and built my website for the books.
Okay.
And in between that, we started buying houses and, remodeling. And that was all done at my 9 to 5 with a plan. And that's how I
Yep.
got to be a serial entrepreneur. It's just taking all these different things because even though you have a passion for something, it just kind of worked out for me that I have a passion for everything that I do.
Hmm.
But sometimes your passion may not fund
Mm.
what you need. So you
Hmm.
still need to have something going on to bring you some steady money. So that's how I got started.
That's perfect, because you and I have also talked about that side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because I also had, it's a transition. Let's
Right.
look in that, because obviously when I was with the Department of Justice, even back in 2006, I had, like, taxes was my side hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to get into the mindset of the side hustle, because right now the reality is that we have a lot of businesses that are actually side hustles right now. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
like you're going back and forth across a line because your W-2 job is fueling the side hustle. But
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that. Is there a mindset that when we're in that side, that like, okay, is it like a testing phase? Let's talk about that side hustle piece that we talked about before this episode, in the
Okay.
sense of what you've just said. Like, here's what I was doing. I was buying real estate, and then I also was doing the website.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you convert those side hustles at that time? Like, when did you feel like, okay, I'm ready to launch it now? I want to talk about side hustles today.
Okay. Side hustles are great because
Yeah.
they teach you discipline, right?
Okay.
So, and it's okay to go from side hustle to side hustle, figuring out what you
Hmm.
like.
I
That's
like
perfectly
that.
fine. But also, once you figure out what you like, you need to have a vision of not just quote unquote staying a side hustle. Like, this is going to be, like I tell my husband all the time, I run a respectable business at the place. You can
Exactly.
get to
That
a
whole
point,
little business concept. Don't little business.
business nothing,
Right.
And the thing with side hustles is that when you're in side hustle mode, there's so many people watching you
Mm.
to see if you're going to sustain it or endure it.
Okay.
So side hustle, great, do it. I love it, but have that vision of taking it big.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't get discouraged in a side hustle because, like I said, everybody's watching. They'll be like, people used to call me the book lady because I did vendor shows.
Okay.
And I was known as a book lady, like, oh, book lady, you still here? You have to stay in that side hustle and it's going to help you grow. And it's also going to be a good tool to say, you know what, this business is just not for me. You know what I'm saying? So side
Hmm.
hustles are important to have, but you also need to. I know people always use these big words. We don't know what they say, scale, to do that. Like, what do you mean? You want it to grow. You
Right.
want it to get to where it can run itself. But yeah.
Right. Right. So what I hear is, because we all have them. But what I want to say and put out into the atmosphere, and I'd love for the audience to put the comments underneath this
Mm-hmm.
post. But I think that it's a mindset of, you know what, I have this W-2 job or other income, or my husband has this income, wife had, we have this income. This side hustle is really like a reflection of a passion,
Mm-hmm.
of what I really would love to be doing. But am I scared? Like, why is that side hustle staying a side hustle? Am I scared? Is it that we're of the mindset of, I'm comfortable because I
Mm-hmm.
have this other money coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm comfortable, and so I'm gonna just keep doing this on the side? Where I'm going with y'all is, and why Janelle is a perfect person to represent this is, as she said, grow your side hustle, bust out of any fear that you have.
That's the word. I was
And
about to say it's fear.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the fear that you have,
Mm-hmm.
that your passion can't sustain you. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
because the side hustles, whether it be a passion to get out of that office cubicle you're
Mm-hmm.
in, a passion because you really, as you said, you love to read. That's your
Mm-hmm.
passion.
Mm-hmm.
You love the concept of real estate. That was a passion.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, the fear of, I can make these things into my primary income, you
Mm-hmm.
busted out of that.
Yeah, that's the word, is fear. Because let's just be honest and real. When we working, the money that we make, that money is called for. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We run. You know how you get paid. Well, this check, I'm paying the house, I'm paying the car. We got a little bit for grocery because we get so comfortable
Yeah.
in that guaranteed money or that W-2 money. We're comfortable in the position,
Hmm.
but we're uncomfortable in life.
Hmm.
Because I know when I quote unquote ran my side hustle paid the phone bill. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? But we both had, decent jobs. But when you
Yeah.
work in decent jobs, you max yourself out because
Yeah.
you know you're gonna get paid every week or every 2 weeks, you know?
Okay.
You
Okay.
know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So it's getting over that fear because let me tell y'all, so personally in corporate, I had reached a point to where my last day, like I worked in treasury, so we had to close out the books
Mm-hmm.
in corporate accounting. And so when I closed out the books, I wrote my resignation that day.
Okay.
It was April 30th. I remember it because that morning I closed on the house. So I had,
Okay.
you know, because I was feeling good about myself. So I had a little bit of music to it. And y'all, I was mentally done. And I don't think you want to get to that point. That's why I always say plan, plan, plan. Always have a vision to grow your side hustle because in my case, I ain't know I was gonna leave work. That morning, I ain't know I was gonna leave work that afternoon. Right.
Yeah.
So when I left, my quote unquote side hustle of real estate and books was all I had.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So don't let that fear of guaranteed money cripple you because
Yeah.
it could cost your mental health. I don't know if I'm making any sense. You know, so that's why I always like plan, think about, dream, all
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Set yourself free. Get
Yeah.
yourself into a position where you're able to pour into yourself.
Yeah.
Because we definitely have similar experiences in the sense that, oh my goodness, I was a GS 14. I done popped back to GS 14, 15, back and forth,
Yeah.
very comfortable,
Good money.
home, cars. Baby, I'm living,
Right. It's a good
and
money.
good, right, good money. Like you say, it's like, okay, so this check gonna pay me.
Yeah. Yeah.
we because that is I mean, especially when you have a lot of different things going on, children or like family or just life, you know what I mean? Like we do need that stabilizing thing. Make
Right.
no mistake, I am absolutely 9 to 5 is like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
but once someone told me your 9 to 5, you know what I mean, learn from it.
Yeah.
Especially if you have that side hustle, that passion that that you got that exit plan whenever it is,
Mm-hmm.
then use what like that company you're working for. Like that's your insight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How are they being successful enough to have 100 employees, 500, however many
Yep.
employees they have? Use that as your model, as your
Mm-hmm.
template of what you like and what you don't like.
That's
You know what
exactly
I
right.
mean? And then you carry that over into, what you want to do for yourself.
That's true.
But again, just kind of going back to how comfort can cripple you. It can
Mm-hmm.
100% cripple you. I say all
Yep.
the time, I should have left, you know what I mean, my comfortable job and really set in what I am in now,
Yeah.
probably at least 2 years prior to when I did.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's why I want to, and I had a plan also. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, here it is, y'all. Two people who had, like, I had that plan. I'm nurturing the plan. I already
Mm-hmm.
knew how I was going to be leveraging certain resources. But then it was just like, all right, well, I guess I'll do this next year because you're comfortable. And so what happens from the financial standpoint is because you have that fear or that comfort, you make your own side hustle your little business. You're
Mm-hmm.
not respecting it.
That's right.
And what I mean by that is like so your side hustle when you don't have your stuff in QuickBooks at least,
Yes.
then what does that do? Now your business is not even your side hustle is not even able to, you can't even leverage it.
You can't. Yep. You can't
Uh-huh.
track it.
You still putting the stuff in your personal account. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you are because it's a side hustle. That means it's not an LLC, which means you don't have a business checking account. I'm
Right.
gonna call y'all out.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
And so what happens then? Now your side hustle really and truly is a little business because of fear, because of
Right.
comfort. And
Mm-hmm.
then so when it's time for you to go get the money, oh, you could have made bukus of money in that side hustle, but you kept it at the side hustle. You did not put those things in place like QuickBooks, like business formation, right?
Can't
And so
verify.
therefore you have nothing to speak with it.
Right.
And the bank's looking at you like, I'm sure you had to, you saw some of this as a loan officer. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, well, now what do you have to show for
And the bank sit back like I used to just sit back and do like this.
it?
You roll your chair on back like Like
We're like, dang.
I
Cause
can't
then,
do
I
nothing
mean,
for you.
especially when you get a good business loan officer or a bank that
Mhm.
really and truly is for your black business, I know some CDFIs and banks that really want to give you this money, but
Mhm.
they're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how you and I, not in the sense of you didn't know what you were doing. So let me clarify that for the audience. But one of the ways Janelle and I work
Well, a
together.
lot of things I didn't. I had to learn. I learned but the thing about it I took that leap to start.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna learn as you go. But the point
Mm-hmm.
of it is that you started to, like, you go back to, you said that formation. You have to be in proper form. Like, you need verification. You need tracking. QuickBooks is great. Like, QuickBooks helped me out a lot, especially with collecting rent. Like, you have some people that they don't want to go to the bank and deposit. They don't want to meet you for cash. But you know what? If you got QuickBooks and they can pay by Apple Pay or by their debit card,
Right.
everybody's happy. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? You got to have your systems in place. Yeah.
Make it easy for people to pay you
Mm-hmm.
using the accounting system that you need, you know what I mean, to, as you said, verify, to
Verify.
to get that financial paperwork in order,
Mm-hmm.
for the next level. And
Right.
so, that's how you and I started working together, in the sense that, you already had QuickBooks, but again, just kind of navigating into, well, what the heck? Because make no mistake, I understand, and this is not a QuickBooks commercial per se, but I understand that a part of that plan is believing that, okay, first of all, it's going to be too expensive. Well, and I get this all the time. I got a QuickBooks account, but I haven't been working in it, and so that's where I just got to be open and honest with you. It's like, so just purchasing QuickBooks is not enough.
And I
I
think
mean, like,
actually,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
oh no, I was about to say, I think you're the one that actually introduced me to QuickBooks, because, and I didn't even know you. Going back to investing in yourself, I was on a webinar with Carmen from Birmingham, and you
Uh-huh.
were one of the speakers, and you were talking about it, and I was like, hmm. And so then that's kind of how I think we linked up, was through QuickBooks. And then on top of that, once you did that, then you did seminars on how to use it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Mhm.
yeah, I think you're the one that introduced me to QuickBooks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. See, I'm learning
And,
something new on it.
and it made a difference, because once I think, so I got QuickBooks, and then maybe like you teamed up with like the Black Chambers to do like a
Mhm.
seminar on teaching it. It
Mhm.
wasn't, y'all, it wasn't a month where QuickBooks was reaching out for funding. And I didn't necessarily need the funding, but I thought I'd get it just to build business credit. They give me
Uh-huh.
money, I take it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
also use that same money to pay it back. And
Yes.
that was within 30 days of
Yes.
signing up to leave showing us how to use it and had a funding offer.
Yes,
So,
indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. Yes, I love it, love it, love it. So the other project, of course, without putting like all our business out there, right?
right.
But I gotta grab some of these amazing things that Janelle's real estate company, was doing. The other way that I work with business owners is connecting you to the money. Like I always
Yes.
said, well, let me help you get to the money, right? And Janelle was one of the perfect clients, in the sense of, again, she's a researcher. She already like knew, hey, this is what I know I need, so forth and so on. And so the connection was, I just need you to help me get my stuff in QuickBooks,
Yep.
because she already had the credit. The businesses were already performing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then it was like, okay, so let's get it in QuickBooks, because remember, I sent an email to Valley Bank, shout out to
Yep.
Delpha Bartley
Yep.
Jones, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, here in Birmingham, and was like, hey, I have a bankable black business
Right.
you were trying to purchase a fourplex, a
Mm-hmm.
fourplex.
Yep.
And so then we had the financial statements together and all of that stuff. And so that's really, I mean, doing a commercial for myself, to be honest with you. I'm not
Yes.
just a podcaster.
Yes. Yo, she got me all the way together with profit and loss,
Yeah.
stuff that you need
Mhm.
that you don't have the resource or access to or know how to do. That's
Mhm.
where you got to have that professional resource.
Yeah.
And just kind of made it easy.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the right. It was just explainable and easy, once you get the numbers plugged in, how I can just give you your report. I mean,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
And then, and as I always say, and again, just so impressed with Janelle's like kind of the perfect client in the sense that and and I'm going to say this is most of us, right?
Mhm.
Let's go back to that passion. You already have it in you to be successful, right?
Mhm.
Like when we linked up, she had that passion was blazing, was a blazing. She had a foundation, yes, in being a loan officer, of course, her father. The connection that I think a lot of Black business owners need is now let me get you. That's why I keep saying bankable. Let's get your stuff because I already know what the banks are going to, especially the banks I work with, what they're going to be asking for. Plus, and here it is here. This is why it's building out a team too.
Mhm.
Plus, like me and my team, we like live, breathing, you know what, QuickBooks.
Right. Yep.
So it is easy for us. Add
Yep.
somebody to your team that's also doing something that you need. Like you said, you're
Right.
investing in yourself. And then in Janelle's case, she was comfortable working in QuickBooks. So really, she helped me launch the QuickBooks DIY monthly membership because it's like, okay, there are business owners that just simply need for you to get me in there. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yes.
Serve as a resource. I can drive. And at the end of the day, now you have financial reports that you're able to interpret. You're able to set goals. You're able
Yep.
to apply the financing when you need the financing. So
Mhm.
I hope that you can identify your entire journey, y'all,
Mhm. Mhm.
through what Janelle has been so transparent about
Yep.
in her journey of becoming a serial entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And one of her newest projects, which I'll give a little teaser, is her book club. But let you tell it. You got to tell me to be quiet sometimes because I just get so excited about featuring my Black business owners. Tell us about the project that you are going to be doing in a couple of weeks with your bookstore, and then it's all like now let's shine more lights on you. I want you to talk about the upcoming project you have at Brown
Mhm.
Books and More.
Mhm.
Go.
Okay. So the upcoming project is that we are starting a book club.
Okay.
And I had so many people reach out and say, "Hey, do you have a book club?" And I'm like, "No, you can start." And they're like, "No, we need somebody else to do it." And so that's just kind of how it was birthed. And it's been like an unbelievable response. I mean, just from all over. Like I got some Birmingham people. It's
Okay.
just like I
Yeah.
didn't know I was reaching, that far, but it's just a way to get the community together, a way for us to network and then to learn more about each other. So it's
Okay.
more of a universal book club. Then I got some that are, some little breakouts. But I'm excited about that. The community seems to be excited.
And y'all are gonna see me blowing it up too, because y'all know I'm all about the elevated. And I used to be an avid reader, Lord. Fortunately, my 12-year-old is keeping the torch going because she loves
Good.
to read. But we're going to Huntsville, honey. Black and Bankable. We are going to be on site on April the 14th, right? Tell everybody like when you're going to be doing the specific launch of the book club.
April 14th
Hmm.
from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We're gonna
Okay.
have a meet and greet. We're gonna have like a charcuterie box and some water, maybe something else. I don't know yet.
Right.
Can't
I'm like,
say.
I thought you were gonna say wine. I heard wine.
Yeah, maybe something else gonna be there. And it's just gonna be a way for us to introduce ourselves, get familiar with the book. The book is Where the Crawdads Sing. It's a universal book, something that everyone can relate to.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna do. April 14th, 6 to 7:30, and we're planning on to do in person and then some type of live. So the ones that can't travel to the area, they still can participate. So yeah.
Wonderful. So we are traveling to Huntsville, and I'm taking my daughters because I know that they will love the bookstore. I am super excited, and so as we build up to that, I want to make sure that y'all support Janelle and Brown's Books and More in
Yes.
Huntsville, Alabama, because she's already doing great things. But I know that this project in itself, is going to be an extension of what, why she started the
Yeah.
store. And that is, making sure that in our day, like that whole work-life balance thing, what's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
that in our work-life balance, you know what I'm saying, that we are properly being edified, our choice of what we want to expose our minds to, expose our families to, and then the networking. So to have a project like this being so close to, where I am, it's like, hey, I'm excited about it. And so I definitely want to make sure that y'all lock it in here, lock it in. We're going to be making sure that you have Janelle's contact information,
Mm-hmm.
particularly for the event coming up on the 14th, but just so how you can connect with her anyway, because she, again, as I'm sure you've seen, and we've really only touched the surface. So, we're probably going to do a part 2 interview on the 14th, especially based upon your feedback that, just you can see that when we have these real conversations, you know what I'm saying? Real conversations, unscripted conversations. It's impossible for us to predict how this is going to help you.
Right.
But if you know me, and as you continue to keep me on your entrepreneur journey, one of my primary goals is to make sure that this information is unlocked for you.
Yes.
That you don't feel like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that somebody know the information, but they just not telling me.
That's right.
So when you hear it from someone who's actually, as we say, out here in these streets doing it.
Yes.
Janelle is out here, and her husband and her father are out here in these streets doing it. They are investing in real estate, have multiple properties, renting, have rental income coming in, and the bookstore.
Right.
And I know I hadn't touched on all of it.
Right. I guess I will say, just being transparent. So with the books, most of the times all we could do was vendor shows because I didn't have a brick and mortar. And so when COVID hit, everybody heard pivot, pivot, pivot. But I was like, if I hear pivot one more time, I'm a scream. But in that pivoting, and it really got me to think, well, maybe I should either try to just see if I could do brick and mortar. And really, y'all, it fell in my lap. But I say all that to say my side hustle, once I actually took that leap of doing brick and mortar, scaling per se, we have made half as much in a month and a half than what we did all year before with just doing vendor shows. So definitely don't let fear cripple you.
Oh my goodness. That's really a perfect way to end this part 1
Yeah.
of the conversation with Janelle Brown, who
Yes.
has joined us today as a serial entrepreneur of Brown Homes and More, and Brown Books and More.
Yes.
And those are just, again, that's just really, I know, the tip of the iceberg of what the Brown family is doing. We've talked to you about generational wealth. We've been real with you and transparent with you about having a plan. I think Janelle probably said that a million times. A million times. Like, and then building out your team. Like, it's getting over the fear. And I think planning, I know for me, writing something down, it stabilizes my brain for some reason. And so that's why I want to make sure that y'all get that connection of just write something down, like with the plan, like start somewhere, right, Janelle? Like, what are some things that helped you be accountable to your plan?
Writing down the task. Write down you need an EIN. Check it off. Write down you need to get the formation for your LLC or however you're going to do it. Check it off. Write down your business bank account. Basically, write it down. Check it off.
Yes.
I mean,
exactly. Put it so that because let me tell you something. If y'all can see my office right now, I have huge Post-it notes like on different walls in the building, because I'm a visual person.
Yeah,
and I'm always thinking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a note taker.
When you're always thinking, I really, it's like, feel like, but if you don't write it down, you'll forget. I know I'll forget it.
Right.
And so that's why let's start there. Let's identify that baby step. I want to challenge y'all, start writing some stuff down if you're not. so that
Yep.
you can, even if it's a list of 100 things, like, because again, I told you I got a whole bunch of post-it notes around here to
Mm-hmm.
be able to, as Janelle said, check it off or cross it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your brain's like, ooh, I got something accomplished. And that
Yep.
helps with the fear.
Yep.
That helps you with the fear. That helps you with the anxiety because you're seeing that you're getting something done
Yep.
and
You
you're
accomplished.
moving towards getting where you need to be.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yes, indeed. So thank you so much, Janelle,
You're welcome.
for coming on and giving the world another CEO conversations here on the Black and Bankable podcast. I'm so excited for you. I remain so impressed with everything that you're doing, and I'm excited to see you in a couple of weeks
Yes.
on
Thank you.
site at the bookstore. Thank y'all for another tuning in again.
Yes.
And be sure that you subscribe so that you can get the next episode. And Janelle and I, we might do a YouTube live on site. I don't know. We got some stuff cooking up for y'all.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are some folks who are extremely excited about this book club.
Yes.
So I'm going to stop
Yes.
running my mouth, y'all. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
And we will see you next time.
All right. Y'all have a great day.